Hey guys, my name is Melissa and it's been a while since I've made a video, huh? Today I wanted to share my top 5 favorite true crime podcasts that I've been obsessed with for the past year or so since I've gotten into podcasts. About a year ago I did one on my favorite books, and so I thought it'd be interesting to do something different this time. I've been obsessed with true crime probably my entire life. I've always been really interested in serial killers and psychopaths and how their mind works and what they're thinking and the stories of how they get away with it. It's just so fascinating to me, and I don't know, I'm just fucking crazy. But here are my top 5 favorite podcasts about true crimes. I also feel like I should mention that I'm wearing a shirt because it's low and I know you can't really see it very well, but it's there. I'm not naked and I'm not scandalous. The first one that I got really into is called Serial, and this is about I believe she was 16. Her name is Hai Min Lee, and she disappeared from her high school and was found days later, and she was dead. And they prosecuted her ex-boyfriend, and he was tried and convicted for killing his girlfriend. And on his defense, he was saying like it was just any other random day, and so he had no idea like what he did that day. He couldn't really pinpoint, an alibi, but apparently there was enough reason to convict him, and he's been in jail since. I think it's also really fascinating that this podcast brought this case to light, and so now they're kind of he's trying to have a retrial and still trying to plead his innocence. In my opinion, I think he's innocent, to be honest. Like, I think that there's just not enough evidence to prove that he was guilty, but that's just me. They made they made an HBO special on this also, and so that's another way to listen to the story, but I never personally got into it because I've already listened to the podcast. I already know kind of like what it's about, but it's fascinating. Very fascinating. The second podcast that I'm really into now, I think it came out a few months ago, but it's called Confronting O.J. Simpson with Kim Goldberg. And it's from the perspective of Kim Goldberg, who is the sister of Ron Goldberg, who was one of the victims that was killed. And I'm going to say it, O.J. Simpson, I think he's a fucking killer. But it's kind of her perspective and how she's dealt with it over the years and how she's able to kind of find peace in the entire murder and kind of find closure. She goes back and interviews witnesses and prosecutors, investigators, and just kind of listens to them, sees what they have to say, sees if they can answer anything that was kind of unanswered before or during the case, and kind of like what they were thinking and feeling going back into that. And it's really sad in my eyes because she's not been able to kind of find closure and justice, and I think that is like one of the hardest things I can imagine going through when your brother is killed. So that one, if you're into like the whole OJ case, I think is a really fascinating podcast to listen to. The third podcast I would recommend is called Dr. Death, and this is about a doctor named Christopher Dunch who is in the Fort Worth, Dallas area, and he is a surgeon who performs surgeries on people, and basically it's about his malpractice over the years and how he has been able to get away with it for so long. Many of his patients end up being more broken or disabled more than they were before they got surgery by him, and somehow he's been able to go from hospital to hospital and just perform all these crazy surgeries. He's killed 2 people, and then there are so many other victims of his. So that one is a really, really interesting insight on like the whole medical field and how easy it is to kind of get away with these things. Hospitals are just kind of like another business, and It's really sad to think about it that way. My fourth podcast that I recommend is called Dirty John, and this is a story that's kind of more well known now because they made a HBO series on it and everything. But this is about this woman named Deborah Newell, and she meets this man named John, and they fall in love really quickly and really hardly, and they get married and they kind of conjoin lives. And the entire time her daughters are like, no, why are you doing this? Like, there's something off about him. And Deborah's like, no, children, it's fine. I love this man. And she really rode for him. But then later finds out that he is a liar and a manipulator, and just a bunch of things from his past start to unravel and things don't add up anymore. And she finds out that he's actually freaking crazy. So it's really interesting because I feel like so often now people are meeting one another and not really knowing a lot about them, and then they just kind of get really serious. It's my worst fear, finding someone and that you really like and then all of a sudden being like, oh my god, you're fucking crazy. And then number 5 is a heavier podcast, and it's something that doesn't leave you feeling really like good or wanting to like find a lot of faith in people, I think, but it's a really good one. It's called Believed, and it's about this doctor who is an Olympic gymnast named Larry Nassar, Olympic gymnast, physical therapist, who has worked with them for years, like from young girls to women, and he sexually abuses them. And it's a really important one because I think it really raises awareness on sexual abuse and how hard it is for women to come forward and feel like they're validated and believed against men. And this is the epitome of that whole movement, because he gets away with it for so many years because everyone thinks so highly of him, and he's so well known and well liked in the community. So that one's an interesting one to get the perspective of these these strong females who come forward and finally have the courage to be like, this happened to me, and this is how it happened, and this is how we're going to learn from it. So listen to that one when you are mentally prepared for that. That about wraps up my top 5 favorite true crime podcasts. There are so many others that I probably haven't listened to yet, and so many that I look forward to listening to. But I don't know, those are the ones that I really personally enjoy and recommend to people. So I hope you guys learned something from this or gained something from this. If you guys listen to podcasts, please let me know. And I would love to hear more suggestions on what else I should listen to. Thank you so much for listening and watching. I'm hoping to get into more videos this summer. We'll see. I don't know, I feel like my creative juices have been flowing a lot more lately, and so I really want to get into, I don't know, just creating more things. But thank you again for listening and watching, and I will see you guys soon. Bye!